Campaign 2018 is underway. For thebaynet.com, I'm Marty Madden. Today we're going to discuss the Calvert County Sheriff's race. The incumbent, Mike Evans, is seeking another term. He was first elected in 2002. Sheriff Evans, it's good to have you here.
Thank you, Marty.
With us today. So, what over the years has changed about the sheriff's office since it's been under your leadership?
The biggest thing, I guess, is technology, staffing increases, the population has risen in this county. Mostly good changes, but some bad changes in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Well, can you elaborate on that?
The biggest thing is we're seeing these heroin overdose deaths. We saw the prescription pill making an impact in our county, and we really fought that hard. We had all the health department, the hospitals got involved, the Calvert Alliance Against Substance Abuse, the pharmacies, with all these great programs, and we actually started making a big dent in the pill issue. And when we saw that pill issue decrease, we saw addicts going to heroin. The heroin was cheaper and easier to get, and now we're seeing way too many heroin overdose deaths.
Well, talk about the staffing of the sheriff's office as far as this fight against drug abuse.
Well, the staffing has increased, and mostly, in last budget cycle, I asked for three more detectives for undercover work. I got 2 approved, and those detectives haven't been added yet because we had 11 in the academy, only 8 graduated. So I asked the detectives, you don't have enough for the patrol right now. Do you want to? I owe you 2 deputies for detectives. And they said, let's wait, Sheriff. The guys on the road are doing a better job right now, taking the drugs off the street. We created a crime suppression unit. It's actually out there working with the K-9 and the drug unit on the corridors where the drugs are coming into our county. And we're making a big impact and taking a lot of heroin off our streets right now. Is
this a battle that you're fighting with manpower or with technology and savviness?
It's a combination. It's a combination. The first thing we did when we saw the heroin epidemic is we doubled the size of the K-9 unit. We have 14 K-9 dogs now, and we have 10 K-9 dogs that are drug-sniffing K-9s. And we're stopping a lot more cars, finding a lot more drugs, and that's one impact. We were the first sheriff's office in Maryland to use the antidote Narcan to save overdose victims, and also deputies have AEDs. And we're finally seeing, in 2018, a trending decrease in the deaths and the number of overdoses. We're finally seeing some results.
Now, one of the other negatives that we're dealing with is school safety.
Yes.
There's a huge concern about that. What would you like to see the public school system do as far as improving safety?
Well, we're going the right direction. When the incident happened here in Great Mills, we immediately put a deputy or trooper in every school for about 9 or 10 days. And we realized that budgets wouldn't allow us to continue that. So now we have a random patrol of deputies on overtime making checks at the schools, plus all the deputies and troopers working, they're making checks at the schools. Recently, I was granted 3 new positions for school resource officers. 3 school resource officers will split to 6 middle schools in Calvert County in September. So each deputy will have 2 middle schools. I do believe that possibility exists that we could put an armed person in front of every school, whether it's a deputy, a volunteer, a retired police officer. I think that's possible. Have to do a lot more training with them, some background checks, but that's a possibility. But right now, we're going in the right direction where we're adding deputies to our schools.
Do you still want to see the school system explore the possibility of arming safety advocates?
I've listened to their reasons, and they're reasonable. The liability, I guess, was the biggest factor, and I understand what the reasons were. To me, that was a quick fix for reassurance of the citizens in our county that they could have done that legally, because those men that are retired police officers under HR 218 can carry a concealed weapon anywhere in the country as long as they qualify once a year and they're retired in good standing. So I thought that was a quick fix to ease some security, ease the citizens' minds. I still think there's some way around arming, maybe not them, but volunteers that have the same credentials, just for having a armed presence at the schools. But I'm listening to the citizens, and they're telling me what we're going to do.
Okay. Will the sheriff's office play any role this summer when the school maintenance staffs go into the schools and affect some of these component changes that they're going to make with doors and windows and what have you?
The part we will play is we want to know how it operates. I mean, there's experts out there in school safety that are putting these things on. They're the experts. We want to be the experts that we know what we're going to face when we have to come into a school that has a locked door on both sides, how we communicate with the students and the teachers if something does happen. So we want to know what exactly is being put in, and we will. And we'll do walkthroughs with the schools, with the deputies and the officers.
Would you advocate for active shooter drills?
Absolutely, and we're doing that.
Involving kids?
Yeah, well, I think we should, absolutely. They want to protect them, but I think they need to see a police officer in uniform to know we're the good guys when we come to the rescue.
Let's talk about how the sheriff's office is dealing with probably the most violent of crime in Calvert, which would be domestic violence.
We're the first sheriff's office in Maryland to have the lethality assessment program. And that's a standard procedure where you ask a lot of questions, do a lot of documentation to make sure that victims of domestic violence get all the possible protection they can. And in Calvert County, it's working pretty well.
Okay. There's been some criticism of the sheriff's office that structurally it's top heavy. As far there seem to be too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Would you like to address that issue?
That's nonsense. We're staffed the same way many other agencies are staffed. The deputies in the position of supervisory skills because they have them. There's a rank structure. And the fact of the matter is we've increased the number of sheriff communication officers so more sergeants and supervisors could be out on the street. And that's usually what happens. The sheriff communication officers are the ones that answer the phones and putting the complaints in. The sergeants and corporals are out on the street, supervising their men, helping with calls.
Okay. I also want to deal with the subject of live PD. Is that going to continue?
No, it was basically a 6-month project. I saw the show before I was asked about it. I thought it showed officers in a fair light. My intent was in Calvert County, it would be boring. It would show there's not much crime in Calvert County. You know, things are kind of slow. And for the most part, it showed that. We had a couple exciting cases here and there, but they wrote for us for weeks at a time to get enough footage to put on TV. And there were a lot of times when there was minor calls, some drug arrests. There were a couple chases involved and a couple of little barricade situations, but overall, I thought it was kind of a boring show for us and showed our deputies in a professional light. It was a good experiment, and it's done. Okay,
so no more live PD in Calvert County. Okay, all right. Well, seeking another 4 years, what do you have as far as plans for going forward and improving the department?
Well, we can always improve, but right now, you know, we're the safest county in Maryland. Mm-hmm. From 2016 to 2017, the serious crime was reduced 20%. Since 2010, it's down 50%. That's the serious crime: murder, rape, robbery, burglary, aggravated assault, theft, and auto theft. Down 50% in the last 8 years. So we must be doing something in our communities deterring crime. We're doing the right things. We want to keep doing the same direction. You know, we have the first sheriff's office in Maryland put body cameras on our deputies. We have nothing to hide. We're keeping up with technology with tag readers and computers and cameras in our vehicles. And we're exploring the use of drones for searching for missing persons. We're going to keep moving in the right direction. We're going to provide Calvert County with the best possible police protection. And the more police officers you have on the street deterring crime will continue to go down.
What would you like to say to the voters as we close?
Calvert County is going in the right direction. We're the safest county in Maryland. We're always, not me alone. I make the final decisions, but I have a great staff making recommendations all the time of how are we going to do things. No idea is too, is going to be laughed at. Any idea we're going to explore. Every deputy knows it's their position to give all the ideas to the sheriff's office they can. And, one person's had a chance to give ideas for the last, 12 years. I've not no ideas from him, and now he wants to be sheriff.
All right. Mike Evans, he's running for re-election in the Calvert County Sheriff's race. And we'll remind voters, particularly in this race, it is very important that they go to the polls for the primary election. There'll be early voting, and then the voting at the polls countywide will take place on June 26th. We thank Sheriff Mike Evans for coming on camera and speaking with us. If you have any questions you want us to ask the candidates, email us at elections@thebaynet.com. For thebaynet.com, I'm Marty Madden.